I think the Hizmet movement represents the core and heart of Islam in the sense that it promotes the notion of peace and the understanding of peace as central to our life together. Relationships between people, a commitment strong to peace, I'm Bryan Fulwider. I'm a pastor for about 25 years and have served in local church ministry. And I currently work with an interfaith organization that is related to really developing better relations between all kinds of groups of people. So I spend time working with lots of different organizations and different faith groups now as president of Building Us, which is an umbrella organization for the Interfaith Council and a radio show called Friends Talking Faith. So I got acquainted with the Hizmet movement through the Atlantic Institute in Orlando, Florida. They became a partner in so much that we were doing. We became friends and began to work together. They reached out, and for many years when I was in the local church, they would spend time coming to do education programs, to build relationships, to do Noah's pudding, all kinds of things that really built relations between the communities. And I began to go to their educational programs and get acquainted with them and just became good friends with the individuals who were working in the movement and very appreciative of what the movement was doing and working on. The Hizmet movement, I have found, is an amazing gift to the community. I had not known of the movement until I got acquainted with friends at the Atlantic Institute. And what I found was that there was a passion for helping to build bridges, to bring about better understanding among people from different faith traditions, to build good relations between Turkey and the U.S., but also between people from various religious backgrounds. And so their commitment, particularly to their own faith and how that stretched out to be in relation with other faith, was particularly a part of what attracted me to the Hizmet movement. I have come to know about Mr. Gulen through the friends that I have met through the Atlantic Institute, and then began to read his work and study what he had done. And my thoughts about him are very, very positive. I found his philosophy to be consistent with my own about building relationships between people, a commitment, strong commitment to peace and peaceful dialogue and conversation, to living out your faith with great energy and enthusiasm and joy, and to help others, to really, and these are all core values that he brings to his understanding of what Islam is from his perspective and what the call of people are to one another in the world. So I have a very, very positive view of Fethullah Gulen. I think the most helpful aspects of Fethullah Gulen's philosophy are his commitment to interfaith relationship building, his understanding of peace as the most important aspect of human relationship, and to really build peace through education, his commitment to strong education, to overcoming ignorance, to helping people really understand each other, not at simply superficial levels, but at deep levels, and of really helping to reach out to others in need also. I very much appreciate his emphasis on humanitarian aid and concern for others. So these, I think, are central and very impressive in terms of his understandings. Islam, of course, means peace, as we all know, and the Gulen movement really emphasizes that sense of relationship building with others. That's the core and the heart of the movement, and that's the core and heart of good Islamic practice and faith. It also encourages people to really live their faith in real ways, to stand strong in their faith, in compassion, in concern for others, in building bridges and friendships, in creating a better world. So I think it's a wonderful demonstration of the heart and core of Islam. I think that the way that the Hizmet movement compares to other civil society movements around the world is remarkable. For instance, I think that it's very similar in many ways to the civil rights movement here in the U.S. and the work of Dr. Martin Luther King, the call to nonviolent action that can create a better society for all people, raising all people up to a level of respect and dignity, similar in ways to the movement and work of Gandhi in India and the ways that he called for civil society to really bring greater respect and dignity to every person. And in some ways, and I've said this to my friends in the Islamic community, I think Gulen is a Turkish king, Martin Luther King, or Gandhi. He represents that kind of energy and spirit, that big vision of a better world, and really invites people to participate in that. I think within the Muslim world, he represents the course of true Islam. His background in the Sufi tradition, his connection in terms of his own hometown relationship there, and the spiritual aspects of his own journey, and that invitation to really be in touch with that deep spirituality and spirituality of love and grace and compassion is, I think, is the heart of the Islamic understanding. And I think people who study Gulen will understand the depth of Islam in its greatest and most noble form. The interfaith movement that the Gulen movement has encouraged is building bridges, tearing down walls, creating opportunities for people to really talk with each other instead of past each other. I think that's Gulen's great contribution, is that he has made this interfaith dialogue piece of the movement central and core to what is important. And he's been a very, very instrumental, I think, leader in helping to really promote the idea of dialogue between people from very different backgrounds who can, by doing that, find a lot of common ground. And that's a wonderful gift, to be able to find common ground when people tend to think there's so much difference, and yet the more you talk, the more you learn, the more you understand about each other, the more you find you have very, very common goals and values and beliefs. The Hizmet schools and educational programs are absolutely stellar. I have visited only a couple of schools in Turkey while I was there, but I know of many, and I've met teachers from a variety of schools who have taught around the world and have great respect for them. I know of this wonderful commitment, especially to go into areas where perhaps no one wants to go, very underserved areas where children may not get an education at all, and yet the Hizmet movement comes in, brings education. And what I've been most impressed with is there is no proselytizing. In other words, people aren't there to try to convert someone to a particular faith, to Islam. They're there to teach, to help the students have a better opportunity to bring about social change by education, by helping good education to happen. And, you know, some people may be attracted to Islam because of that, but that's not the primary reason that the schools open. And it's a very admirable program, and I have the highest regard for what the Hizmet Movement does in terms of education around the world. It's amazing. Hizmet's charitable activities are remarkable. I never say the name right, but Kimse Yakma, the Humanitarian Aid Center, I was able to visit while I was in Istanbul, one of their primary headquarters, I think, for that organization, and it is tremendously impressive in terms of the humanitarian aid outreach of the Hizmet Movement. Their ability to mobilize quickly to deliver aid around the world is really unparalleled in terms of or on par with many organizations, and it is an impressive operation of humanitarian aid, and the sense of just listening to the call of need of another and hearing that call, which is literally, I think, what the name means, the call or need, and responding to it, and it's a very impressive operation, and it comes out of the most basic call that I think Gulen teaches, which is that we are responsible for each other. We have a call to care for each other, and that's essential to who we are as human beings. So a beautiful part of the Hizmet Movement, the humanitarian aid work. The criticisms of the Hizmet Movement I have found come out of generally a lack of knowledge about what the Hizmet Movement intends to do and what it is. Some people say, you know, this is too good to be true. For instance, the trips to Turkey. And I've had people, I've been to Turkey with Hizmet. I've had people say, well, what's the catch? What's the hook? And that's sort of an American way of thinking. If someone wants to do something kind for you, they probably want something in return. And I have said for the 15 years that I've known about this movement and been intimately involved with it, there is no hidden agenda. This is truly a group of people who want to create better understanding, and they simply want to work together to make a better community and a better world. And that's the motivation, and that's a wonderful motivation. And if that's the hidden agenda, it's not hidden at all, and it's very positive. So I say to critics, try to look a little bit more closely and understand a little better. And I also remind people that every great movement has critics. That's part of doing something good in the world. You're going to have critics, but that for me, and I think for the Hizmet Movement folks, makes us want to work all that much harder to create better understanding. So, you know, critics will come and go, but the work that Hizmet's doing is tremendous. My conclusions regarding the Hizmet Movement is that we need more of this kind of movement in the world. We need people who are committed to the kinds of principles that folks involved in the Hizmet Movement are committed to. Building peaceful relationships with others, creating dialogue opportunities where people can really get to know each other, helping to work on humanitarian aid, and of course the key to all of it, education. Helping to really educate people so that we move our world from those places of ignorance to places of knowledge and awareness and wisdom, so that we can build a more peaceful society and world. So to the Hizmet Movement I say, may you multiply and continue to help bring about that kind of change in our world for good.
In my view, the most important aspects of Mr. Gulen and the Hizmet movement to the common good is the aspiration of serving others. We call it here in the United States selflessness.
The most important contribution Mr. Fetullah's movement is doing right now, from my vantage point, is to bring peace not only to Turkey but to the world, and to bring an interaction of different nations and different people and different cultures